The man who killed his special needs daughter and his girlfriend with no regret. While you may be wondering this is a hilarious incident, it is completely shocking and bizarre that this case of murder of this magnitude made the headlines in the courtroom and other legal institutions in the state of Florida. Judges had oftentimes had to deal with horrible cases once in their legal careers. But when the judge on this case grew really exasperated on a case which he called the worst case, you might know that you're about to hear something that would get your skin crawling. The guy who committed the murder didn't even feel sorry. It's suffice to say that he sat back and had a smug look on his face. Strange, isn't it? Let's dive in. This is the story of a violent father on trial for the brutal attack on his family. Kenyatta Barron had gone back to school and was enrolled at Hillsborough Community College at the time of the murders. She still found time to play football with her son in the front yard. She also made him bean pie. Even in the ruins of the home, crime scene photos show how the girl's mother had worked to make her daughter's bedroom like the home of a princess. The girl, Ron Navaya, who was autistic and had cerebral palsy, sat and munched Oreos and grapes as her mother read stories to her. Some good parenting, isn't it? But you should know that nice things and people didn't always have the chance to last long, especially if they chose the wrong people to go around them. Things really went drastically wrong when one hears these speeches. Kenyatta Brown's mother. I wish you would have gotten the death penalty. Every action has a reaction, and the reaction to your actions is going to be sitting in your prison cell for the rest of your life with your thoughts. Everyone thought the violent partner, Ronnie, would feel sorry and have no regrets. But he went on smirking, not bothered. Let's have a look at the entire story. On March 8, 2018, in the Riverview area of Tampa, Florida, 33-year-old Kenyatta Barron and her 9-year-old disabled daughter, Ron Navaya, were murdered. Kenyatta's son, 8-year-old Ronnie Jr., was brutally stabbed, but survived the attack. The person who stands accused of the crime is Kenyatta's boyfriend and the children's father, Ronnie O'Neill III. According to the prosecutors in the case, Ronnie shot Kenyatta and then beat her to death with the shotgun he had used. He then went on to murder Ron Navaya with an axe before moving on to stab Ronnie Jr. Once he was done, he set the house on fire. Most likely to watch how a human barbecue was being made. What a disaster. O'Neill has been all over the news in the past days due to the cross-examination of his son at the trial. Representing himself, Ronnie further brutalized his now 11-year-old son by forcing him to directly face the man who stabbed him and killed his family, his own father, during cross-examination. Here, you should hold it and back up, because you've got to wonder what sort of guy represented himself and defended himself so well. You'd think he was on a charade, even when all the evidence against this dude was too numerous to mention. He still held out. You've got to give him some sort of medal. On June 16, 2021, his son, Ronnie Jr., testified via video link, telling the jurors that his father killed his mother. O'Neill denied his son's testimony, confronting the child with accusations that his testimony did not match his earlier statements. But when he asked his son if he had hurt him on the night of the incident, Ronnie Jr. did not back down, saying to his father and the court with an honest-to-God face, "You stabbed me." You've got to admit, you've got to love this boy. O'Neill has admitted that he'd killed Kenyatta, but claims that it was only because she was attacking their children, forcing him to kill her in self-defense. He accused the police in the case of tampering with and fabricating evidence in the case, and denies his son's claims that he saw his father beat his mother to death. His young son has a totally different story about the events of that day than his father does. He told the police that he heard his mother and father arguing and went to see what was going on. He says he then saw his father holding a shotgun and his mother running into Ron Nevaeh's room to hide in the closet. Noting that his son was there, O'Neill then told Ronnie Jr. to walk away and say the words, "Allah Akbar," and also told him to kill his mother. According to the boy's testimony, O'Neill forced him to hold the shotgun with him while he fired it. But it is not clear as to whether the bullet they fired actually hit Kenyatta, or if she was shot after that. Can you imagine being taught how to shoot like that, when the target is your loved one? But the story doesn't end there. It all gets totally downwind. It is known that she was shot in the arm, as a 911 call she managed to make between being shot and beaten to death has her on the recording saying she has been shot in the arm. In the background, O'Neill is yelling, and she is telling him she is sorry to try to calm him. Ronnie Jr. further testified that his father then chased his mother out of the house and beat her with the shotgun. Prosecutors in the case, in separate testimony, indicated that Kenyatta was beaten so hard with the shotgun that it had broken into pieces, and the barrel had bent. According to Ronnie Jr., his father then returned to the house with an axe in hand and dragged Ron Nevaeh into the master bedroom before hitting her in the back of the head with it. Ronnie Jr. testified that he saw her eyes roll back in her head and there was blood everywhere. The young girl had cerebral palsy and was nonverbal, so she stood little chance of defending herself in the attack. Ronnie Jr. said that after murdering Ron Nevaeh, O'Neill set a tissue on fire and tried to set him on fire, but he ran into the kitchen in an attempt to get away. Though the details are unclear just yet on what happened after that, O'Neill appears to have caught up with his son and stabbed him before setting the house on fire, presumably to eliminate what evidence he could of the crime. He said that after his father stabbed him and set the house on fire, he fled the house. Gravely wounded, Ronnie Jr. managed to get outside, where he was found by a neighbor. He had been stabbed so brutally that the police thought he had been disemboweled and had him rushed to the hospital for care. However, when his father cross-examined him, Ronnie Jr. changed his testimony, saying that he did not see his father murder anyone. He claimed to have only heard and seen enough to guess what was happening. This was perhaps just a reaction to the fear of facing his attacker and father, as the statements given previously seemed too far detailed for the child not to have borne witness to all or most of the crime. While you think some foul play is afoot, the violent man, O'Neill, who is representing himself with a public defender on hand, per the judge's insistence, claimed in opening statements that the prosecution's evidence was some of the most vicious, lying, fabricating, fictitious government you ever seen. He claimed that he might appear alone, but was backed by a mighty God. You might say this might be the case of watching too many spiritual movies. You could hear him ranting on for so long. The whole courtroom had to go on listening to him for long hours. At least this guy did not blame the devil for once for his crime. Even the devil would be scared of him. We don't yet have answers for the real reason Ronnie O'Neill allegedly committed this horrible crime, but the trial is ongoing, and there may be more learned over the coming days as it continues. A statement from O'Neill's father indicates that his son had called him on the night of the attack, insisting that someone was trying to kill him, so paranoia may have played a role. If found guilty, O'Neill will face the death penalty. He went on to a lifetime imprisonment without the option of parole. That should teach the big bad man some lessons. You might say justice was served. As for the very brave Ronnie Jr., he is in much better hands now, having been adopted by one of the detectives in the case and given a new last name. There is no doubt that he will be dealing with the trauma of this event for a very long time, even once the trial has ended. And I wish him only the best in the years ahead of him. There is no question that he will manage the inquiry of this circumstance for quite a while, even when the proceeding has finished, and we wish him the most incredible year in front of him. Even the judge, as stated earlier on, had admitted the incident would forever scar her. She said without feeling as she shook her curly hair, sitting on the high chair and addressing the courtroom. Judge Michelle Cisco: 19 years I've been in this job. I've seen human beings killed by the hands of others in every way imaginable. This is the worst case I have ever seen. I know I will be haunted for the rest of my life. Well, after rain comes sunshine. For the little boy, Ronnie Jr., the murders, and even the trial were one brief moment in time. He had long been adopted by one of the cops on the case by the name of Daniel Blair. Sweet ending, you may say, for a tragic story, but we've got more other stories for you. You can like or subscribe to our channel if you think the videos are an exciting thing to watch. There's a lot more of these bizarre stories to watch out for. Bye!